My video editing skills have come a long way, and so has video editing software in that same amount of time. Today I'd like to introduce you to some video production software hidden gems that I wish I had earlier in my content creator career. These are all tools I use, and many of these apps are free, so stay tuned. Quick disclaimer, the paid software featured in this review is a mix of products I purchased with my own money and products I received for free to review. This is not a sponsored video and all opinions are my own. This won't be an in-depth review of each app. For that, you can check out my videos that are dedicated to these applications. I've sorted the apps in this review based on their position in a video production workflow. Let's start with some software that I find useful for planning video projects. First up is MindManager, which is owned by Corel. This is a Swiss Army knife of mental organization. All of the details about a project that you keep in your head can be mapped out visually with this application. And you can even integrate links to images, files, websites, and folders. Here's an example of one of my most complex and difficult projects, an annual course I produce that is 17 hours long. I have been doing everything myself, so as you can imagine, it's a lot of information to remember and process. Prior to discovering MindManager, I struggled with what to do and when to do it. Planning projects gave me a lot of anxiety, so I tended to avoid anything too difficult or complex. The volume of information required to manage a project also overwhelmed me and made it difficult to focus on any one task. It was a chore just to even get started on a project. I would also tend to forget important elements of a project. I'd either have to leave information out or try to splice in the content in post-production when it is less convenient. If you can imagine this project map with pieces missing and jumbled up with no organization, that's what my mind looked like when I planned this course prior to bringing everything together in a cohesive way with MindManager. MindManager has completely changed how I plan projects. I no longer feel as much anxiety around taking on difficult projects because I can see them broken down into much smaller subtasks. All of the important information is linked inside the map, so I can't overlook anything. Therefore, it is just a matter of picking a piece and working on it. Eventually, when each subtask is complete, the entire project will be finished. All of this has made my mind more clear, and I am easily able to focus on projects and complete them because I have a structure I can follow. This is only one of many ways you can visually map out information, so here are a few more examples of how I use MindManager. Here is what is called a Kanban, which is sort of a free-form calendar. You can choose how to label each column. It could be by month like I have done, or you could organize it by the day of the week, or by status like to do, in progress, and completed. This is a pretend example of the projects I plan to work on this year. I can see what I am currently working on and what's coming up in the future so I can prepare for it. I used to use Google Calendar to organize my projects like this, but I didn't like having to move projects around each day of the week. That puts too much pressure on me to do something on an exact day, even if that's not necessary. That method also creates a lot of shuffling around of tasks I wasn't able to complete. Another advantage that MindManager has over Google Calendar are the robust options for customizing the calendar and tasks visually. For example, I can use the color, size, and shape of the tasks to categorize them. This helps me more easily navigate and process all of this information. For example, the size of the task indicates how much time it will consume. Small task icons can be easily completed, but larger icons will take longer to complete. This allows me to better estimate how many tasks I can complete in a month. I can also add icons to draw attention to certain tasks, and I can show the status of a task with icons that can be clicked on several times to show the percentage of completion. I like this because I can see how unfinished a task is. Aside from the good feeling I get from checking stuff off when it is completed, these progress icons also make it easy to see if I started something, partially completed something, or mostly completed something. This motivates me to complete tasks in increments rather than feeling intimidated by the entire task. Let's look at another way I use MindManager to plan videos. Let's say I want to add a video project to my calendar. I have a list of ideas of videos that I can draw from. That's linked as a file that I can access by clicking on a shortcut in my project calendar. Just as well, I can easily get back to my calendar with a link or cycle through maps with the tabs at the bottom. This is another Kanban, But this time it's organizing video ideas from best to worst. I can easily cut one of these tasks and paste it into my calendar. Or if I want to work on multiple displays, I can separate the windows and drag tasks between maps. Going back to my calendar, you can see that I've also created labels for each type of task I need to do each month. This allows me to easily differentiate videos I need to create from self-promotion or other types of tasks. When a project is complete, I can easily make the task icon look different and move it to the completed section. Here I can see exactly what I have accomplished each month. There is no right or wrong way to use mind mapping, so this layout is sort of a work in progress that I add to a little at a time as I discover ways to use it. Many of these tasks do not have a specific deadline, so they can easily be moved to another month. But if I do want to set a deadline for a task with an alarm that pops up a reminder, that's possible. If a task requires more than a title or there is any extra information that should accompany a task, I can attach a note that can be conveniently accessed within MindManager. If I need more than just a quick note, I can create a text document with a third-party app and then access it with a link embedded in the task itself. Links can also be useful for accessing specific web pages that are part of a workflow. For example, the YouTube audio library. You can even browse from a window embedded in MindManager or pop open the link in your browser window of choice. All of this may not seem very impressive at first glance, but once you try mind mapping, it will change your mind, literally. Your mind will be so much more clear, and projects that once felt difficult will seem much more manageable. MindManager is a paid application, and it is compatible with Windows and Mac. A subscription can be rather pricey, but well worth it if you're able to better organize your projects. If you're looking for a free alternative, there's always Google Calendar, or Draw.io is a web-based app that can do a few of the basic things MindManager can do, such as making flowcharts and freeform mind maps, but the features are very limited. Next, we will move on to some software that can be useful for the recording phase. One of the secrets to a professional-looking recording is working with a teleprompter. Those are the scrolling screens of text that you may see behind the scenes on a live television broadcast. Using a teleprompter has made a huge difference in how I present myself to the camera. I feel more confident speaking because I've taken the time to write out what I want to say. And because I'm following a script, I don't have to worry about forgetting anything important, going off topic, or losing my train of thought. Recording also goes much faster because I don't have to use as many takes to say what I want. Needless to say, using a teleprompter requires you to write a script first, but that's a good thing. After all, the vast majority of TV and movies are scripted. There's nothing wrong with recording unscripted dialogue, but for those who want to, a teleprompter is essential. Otherwise, your narrator will have to spend a lot of time memorizing the script. You might think that you can get away with just reading from your computer display, but that will cause you to lose eye contact with the camera. A teleprompter works by aligning the eye gaze of the speaker to the camera. Therefore, the text the speaker is reading needs to be aligned with the camera as well. Professional TV studio teleprompters are one-way mirrors that cover the camera, and the text is reflected onto it from a separate display. That allows the speaker to look directly at the camera while reading the script. There are conversion kits you can buy that can turn a small tablet like an iPad into a teleprompter screen, but this is bulkier than I'd like, and overkill for my needs. You can work around this and get by with just a teleprompter app by placing a monitor behind your camera and centered with the lens. Then make the teleprompter window as small as possible and the text large to avoid the speaker's eyes moving up and down or side to side while reading. The speaker's eye gaze won't be 100% centered on the camera lens, but 97% is good enough for most viewers not to notice. What's more important is the dramatic improvement over not using a teleprompter. While there are many free alternatives that can be found online, Teleprompter Pro is convenient, inexpensive, and works really well. It has many more features than the free online teleprompters. For instance, Teleprompter Pro allows you to customize the size of the text, color, alignment, and more. It's well worth the price if you want to level up your presentation skills. This app is only available on Windows, but you may be able to find something similar on Mac. Next is a valuable tool for recording tutorials that involve screen sharing, a highlighter for your mouse cursor. By highlighting your cursor, you can make it easier for viewers to follow what you're doing or draw attention to areas of importance. Both Windows and Mac offer some decent paid options for highlighting your mouse cursor, but there are also a lot of sketchy-looking free options. When apps have permission to overlay stuff on top of any apps on your screen, you need to be careful. Fortunately, Microsoft offers some cursor highlighting options in the latest version of PowerToys. You can watch my video about it to learn more, but essentially this is just a set of helpful tools that can customize Windows 10 and 11 to be more efficient and useful. When enabled, a simple keyboard shortcut of pressing Ctrl twice makes a spotlight appear that darkens the screen and highlights your cursor for a moment. You can even customize the spotlight effect. I should mention that my mouse cursor has been modified in the Windows mouse cursor properties. I changed the size and color to make it easier to see. However, when I record the cursor in my recording software, a bug is making the cursor appear much smaller. So to make it even more clear where my cursor is, I can enable the next option, which animates a small dot wherever I click. I can customize this as well. If you're using a Stream Deck or a similar device, you can make shortcut buttons to invoke these multi-key commands with a single button press. You'll see me highlighting my mouse a lot throughout this review. Moving on to the next recording app, we have OBS, Open Broadcaster Studio for Windows, Mac, and Linux. This is a free open source application that is intended for live streaming, but can also be used for recording tutorials and courses. In addition to recording your screen, you can capture video from photography cameras, camcorders, and webcams, and audio from microphones and computers. You can overlay images, animations, music, and sound effects, and you can even use green screens and other special effects. By putting all of these assets together, you can create complex scenes and presentations that rival what you see on TV. While I currently use XSplit, which is a paid application, it's almost identical to OBS. I prefer XSplit because it is more polished and is updated more often, but I'd be happy recording in either application. As you can see, I can even link my Stream Deck to OBS or XSplit and use it to control my cameras, lights, and more. The only reason not to choose OBS is that it can feel kind of complicated to set up and use, but it's well worth learning how to use because it is far more capable than most recording apps. And did I mention that it's free? Check out my OBS tutorial and other videos featuring OBS if you'd like to learn more. Now let's advance to the editing phase of the video production process. One of the worst things about being a video editor is the time I wasted doing tedious tasks like cutting out mistakes, pauses, and bad takes from my recordings. Recently, that all changed when an app was introduced that revolutionized how content creators edit video. TimeBolt is a video editing application that automatically removes silence, and with the right settings, unwanted sounds like coughs, ums, and throat clearing. Immediately after loading this example video, you can see how much shorter it is. Multiply that by a few factors, and that is how much time and effort you have saved simply by loading a file. But you can get even more out of TimeBolt. It can even speed up your first pass of editing by allowing you to quickly remove bad takes and any other unwanted footage. When combined with a touchscreen and Stream Deck multi-action shortcuts, you can edit videos at light speed compared to the old way of doing it. You can export your edits to various formats and open the files in your editor with the cuts intact. Or you can export your video directly from TimeBolt without the need for another app. TimeBolt is nothing short of magic, and it has saved me countless hours of time. That's not to mention the misery that accompanies any boring, repetitive task. This is the #1 tool I wish I had when I started making videos. It really does make it faster and less tedious to edit and produce videos. TimeBolt is a paid subscription, and it can be expensive if you purchase the lifetime license, but it will pay for itself in time saved. It eliminates a huge chunk of your work as an editor, so you can take on more work or put more focus on the creative aspects of video production. TimeBolt is such an underrated app, and yet it offers such a massive advantage. I believe this style of automated editing will soon become ubiquitous, so you would be wise to be an early adopter. Even now, your competitors are doing things automatically that takes you hours to complete. You can use my affiliate link in the video description to download TimeBolt. It's available on Windows and Mac. Have you ever wanted to just take a small clip from a longer video without having to re-render it? Re-rendering the video would lower the quality and occupy your computer for a long time. Lossless Cut is a free app for Windows and Mac that, among other things, allows you to extract clips or remove unwanted content without having to re-render a video. Typically, I use Lossless Cut to take small clips out of older videos so I can reuse them in new videos. The output only takes a few seconds, as opposed to minutes or hours for a render, and unlike a re-render, the output is lossless quality. Another way that Lossless Cut could be useful is to remove wasted information from footage. For example, if you took a long lunch break and you forgot to pause the recording, then that break would represent a certain amount of data on your hard drive that you have no use for. By clipping this out, you can make your files much smaller without any consequence. You can also overdub music or narration without re-rendering the video. Lossless Cut is a very useful app. Just keep in mind that using this on older footage will affect any video editing projects that are linked to that footage. Or in other words, if you remove sections of a video and overwrite it, any project referencing that clip will have the cuts applied at the wrong points because the video is now much shorter. So it's probably best just to use Lossless Cut to remove excess footage before you use it in a project. Next, I'd like to briefly highlight the usefulness of speech-to-text. You may already use voice dictation to write your scripts, but did you know it can be useful for entering other types of text during the video editing process? One example is using it to enter text for timeline markers in your video editing application. When I'm placing markers for B-roll, rather than typing what I want the marker to say, I can speak it. I found this can be much faster, especially when paired with multi-action shortcuts on my Stream Deck that create a marker, open the edit dialog, and activate voice dictation. On Windows, the keyboard shortcut of Windows H opens voice dictation. You can activate voice dictation on Mac in a similar way. Up next is Microsoft Power Automate. This free software is available for Windows 10 and comes built into Windows 11. You can use this application to perform repetitive tasks automatically, saving you time and effort. While at first it may look too technical to be of any use to a video editor, check out what I can do with it. I can quickly change the UI scaling to make it easier to see while I'm recording my screen. Then I can easily revert it. Or I can automate part of the timecode creation process by first using an automation to copy the text from the title of the markers to the description. Next, a second automation will clean up the timestamps by removing unwanted text and adding formatting. Now I can paste this into my video description and viewers will be able to navigate through the video by chapter. And I can also use Power Automate to help with translating video titles and descriptions. I have several videos that go into detail about how to create and use automations if you'd like to learn more. Again, this is yet another cue that automation is upon us, and we need to start getting used to the idea of using it in everyday life. Now let's explore an app that can be useful during the rendering phase. After rendering your final video, you may need to make the video smaller so that it can be more easily downloaded from a website. In other cases, you may want to make your footage smaller by compressing it to save space. Handbrake is a free app for Windows, Mac, and Linux that can do all that and more. Simply load one or more videos, select your desired compression setting, and add it to the queue. The videos will process one by one, and you can automatically choose to quit Handbrake, shut down your computer, or put it to sleep when the queue is completed. That's great because it may take hours to process a large number of videos at once, so you can set Handbrake to compress the videos unattended or overnight. You might wonder, why not just save yourself some time and render the video with compression? The problem with that is YouTube and other websites will compress your video again to suit their preference. This will further reduce the quality of the video and may make it look overly compressed. Therefore, it is best to render and upload your videos in the highest quality possible. While YouTube will automatically compress your video, not all websites will. Gumroad is the website I use to host my video courses, and it does not alter my videos. Therefore, I need to use Handbrake to make my course videos smaller before I upload them. I offer 1440p and 1080p versions of my videos. Handbrake makes it quick and easy to generate those using presets. Depending on the settings you choose, your videos will be much smaller, but should look almost identical to the original. Using Handbrake to compress videos could be much more efficient than creating multiple renders in your video editing software. If I'm not concerned about preserving the original detail for a future project, I could also compress my original render and then delete the larger version after I've uploaded my video to YouTube to save space. Last, we'll look at software for the file management phase of the video production process. WinDirStat is a free file management app for Windows. On Mac, it is known as Disk Inventory X. This app can show the files on your computer expressed in a graphical way that makes it easier to see how many large files are on your system and where they are located. WinDirStat makes it quick and easy to locate files that are taking up excessive space, so you can delete them if they're unnecessary, or compress them to make them smaller using Handbrake. For example, I can see that I have a lot of large video files from old projects. Many of these can be deleted, which instantly frees up a large chunk of storage. Had I tried to locate these files by browsing through the File Explorer, it would have taken a lot longer. By using WinDirStat, I have saved myself money by not having to purchase more hard drives to store all my video footage. I already have 9, and that's only the ones connected to my computer. In addition to video files, WinDirStat also helps to surface temporary files that are just wasting space. For a demonstration of how to use WinDirStat, check out my tutorial. Alright, those were some hidden gems that you can use to make your life easier as a video producer and editor. If you found this information valuable, be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already for more content creator reviews and tutorials like this. Thanks for watching and stay creative.